Okay, after chickening out last week, what am I doing this week? Errands, apparently. Alright. We can do that. Let's do some errands. This is a nice market. From the moment you woke up, you knew that today was going to be busier than usual. There was a list of errands that needed to be finished before the day was done. First up was visiting one of the biggest farmers markets in the area. It was only open 2 weekends a month during certain parts of the year. It was rare that you and your family were able to attend, so your moms liked to make the most out of every minute of it. And you realized it was not just them feeling that way when you heard a whistle from your left side. That's a whistle?
Wow, this is a swanky show. Vegetables have never seemed so highbrow.
Seriously, they don't mess around with their products.
Isn't that great?
Liz crossed her arms. You could tell she was amused. We couldn't have picked a more perfect trip. It's been too long since we've had a true family outing. Her teasing tone said more than she actually did. Your next-door neighbors had joined you this day, and that's what made it a true family outing. The three parents laughed approvingly. Out of the corner of your eye, you caught Cove looking at you sympathetically. Some things never changed, and some jokes never died. You'd long accepted that. Just imagine the teasing that would be going on if I'd actually confessed. Ugh. You were in a bad mood. But there's seedless watermelon for 20 over there in the corner. How can you be in a bad mood? You know what? I think it might be fun. You smiled, trying to imagine how many stalls were set up. You were curious what hidden gems were waiting for you to discover among them.
Well, I'm ready to get started. I've got plenty of dishes in mind I could use ingredients for.
Before your moms responded to that, they glanced at each other and smiled.
Yes, that's a very good idea, Cliff. This place is much larger than it seems. It's difficult to visit each part in a single day.
I got it.
I'm sure we can make a decent dent together, at least.
Actually, since there are so many of us this time, we could take different sides of the market.
Sounds good.
Divide and conquer, eh? That sounds brilliant.
Everyone watched your mom, surprised. No one had considered that an option, but your mom flashed the group a dazzling smile, continuing with the thought.
Though it's a little unfair that there are 4 Wave Rider family members and only 2 Holdens here, so I'll go with you boys to even out the odds.
Okay.
That's fine with me.
Cliff scratched the back of his neck awkwardly. He wasn't sure where to look or what to say. That was not a problem his son had.
No.
He's like, but Molly's not coming with me. Oh no, Cove, sweetie.
I don't like that idea. Don't worry, we'll be apart for only a few hours, and then we'll have something to talk about at the end of it.
After the additional nudging, Cove nodded with a sigh. He realized this wasn't an argument he was going to win.
All right.
I don't get the point, but I also don't mind spending the first part of the trip with Molly and Ma. Ma clapped her hands together at that.
Wonderful. Are the teams ready to go?
I didn't agree to anything. I'm curious why they've decided on this split. So, you know what, if Cove's agreeable, we don't have to spend every waking moment together. So I will agree. Yeah, let's go. Delighted, Ma hooked an arm around you in a little side hug. You grinned.
Thank you.
Of course, Ma. Taking the lead, Mom walked over towards Cove and Cliff, who were still eyeing her confusedly. Yeah, like, Mom, what you up to over there?
Let's go.
Come on, boys, we're heading out.
Sure.
Okay.
Cove looked at you softly and found himself pulled forward, stopping in front of you. His expression flickered for a moment, hesitant.
Bye.
Bye! I love you. I mean, bye! Suddenly, he twitched slightly, his whole body getting stiff. He jerked his gaze back at your mom, and you realized that she had grabbed the hem of his shirt. She gave it a small tug before letting go.
No, no, no.
No. What are you up to, Mom?
Time's a wastin', Cove, and I've known you long enough to be aware that you're one to linger. If I don't stop you now, you'll only drag your feet on parting ways more. The two of you can survive one morning apart, probably. We have important shopping to do now.
Cove gasped at what he felt was a truly obscene thing to say. Scandalous. His face burned red, but that was ignored by him. He spoke with an unimpressed roll of the eyes.
Seriously?
You don't need to literally pull me away from Molly. I'm not that clingy.
Mom sniggered with a shake of her head. Cove's eyebrows raised over the reaction, and he turned to Ma. She wouldn't meet his eye as she whistled innocently. What is... Are we the only two that are, like, not in on this? I'm so confused. Liz smirked ear to ear, and Cove whipped his head towards his dad. Mr. Holden couldn't offer anything more than an apologetic shrug. It was only then that it dawned on Cove that everyone did think that he was that needy. Finally, he dared to face you with wide, pleading eyes. Oh, come on, Cove. You know how it is. He stares at me, so he stared at me, and I stared at him, and he stared at me, and I stared at him. Yeah, I mean, he can be independent. He's sassy. He doesn't need me. We just like each other's company. There's nothing wrong with that. Cove is totally capable of being independent when he wants to be. You spoke very matter-of-fact and fixed a stern gaze on the group. Cove, meanwhile, beamed at having your support. I got you, boo. Without thinking, Cove took another step forward, feeling drawn to you. You're conflicting with, like, the thing I just said. Also, again, Mom grabbed the back of his shirt. She tried suppressing her laughter, but a few chuckles escaped.
Actions speak louder than words.
Cove's mouth twisted as he struggled to come up with something to say in his defense. He was newly embarrassed all over again.
Yeah, well... so what?
That admission had Liz, your moms, and his dad bursting into laughter. Cove grimaced and walked several steps from the group before stopping. He clearly wanted to move on, so much that he was physically moving away. You smiled softly at him. Cove nodded ever so slightly, so you knew that he caught it, and he seemed to feel better, just a bit.
See you later.
Okay.
Take care of yourselves.
At that, Mom picked a direction and set out into the market with Mr. Holden and Cove following behind her. Grinning, Ma sent them off with a big wave. Liz gave a daintier goodbye wave herself. I need an option that's like, I love my mom and my sister, but I'm confused. I need like a happy middle. This is like the closest? Yeah, you know what? Let's just be unsure. Yes, my best friend. Yep, that's what we are. Yeah, I'll do the top one. I thought we would just go shopping all together. You could feel your optimism faltering. It made you feel silly, but you'd been looking forward to the trip you envisioned. Liz noticed you were already deflating and took up the spot next to you. She elbowed you in a gesture that could only be encouraging when coming from an older sibling.
Do you think there'll be any nice ginger around here?
We'll have to find out. You nodded plainly, not having much to add right now. Ma led you both into the busy market. Some time passed, and your group had spent it browsing for the most part. There were only a few stalls you stopped at, but otherwise you were dragging your feet, trailing along behind Ma and Liz. At one point, Ma stopped suddenly. She put a hand on her belly and gave a half-hearted smile.
I think I should have used the bathroom before we left home like the two of you responsibly did.
Just need to pee?
Yes.
Liz, I'll have to visit the ladies' room now.
Should we wait here? Ma craned forward as you struggled to pinpoint the direction she needed to go. She gently brushed your comment away.
There's no need to worry about me for this or waste time standing around. Keep on shopping. Though actually, I might need help finding my way. Can you please come, Lizzie?
What? What's happening? You and your sister had to share a look over that. Why do that of all things? Right? Okay, so Lizzie's not in on it. That makes me feel a little bit better.
Hey.
Whoa. Ma, if anyone should go anywhere on their own, shouldn't it be you? You're the one needing a detour, and you're the parent here. Ma giggled, unfazed by the resistance. Liz, meanwhile, tipped the brow of her hat up, watching Ma skeptically.
Soon enough, Molly will have to handle doing these kinds of errands on her own. This makes good practice.
What? What does that mean? Are you kicking me out, Ma? Not like this. Ma hooked an arm around Liz's and pulled her along.
Have fun.
We'll find each other again later.
Excuse me? Liz! Yeah, I'm stunned. I don't know. I'm speechless. You watched, dumbfounded, as they waded into the crowd. They were out of sight within... excuse me. Apparently my voice is also like dumbfounded. It's just like, goodbye. They were out of sight within moments, and what started as a group outing rapidly became you entirely on your own. You thought screwed them. You are done with this whole trip. I would feel kind of terrified, low-key, because I'd be worried that I'd never find them again. And I'm like, crap, what do I do? I'm just in a random place with a bunch of strange people. And I have a horrible sense of direction, so I'd never find my way back to the car. Oh, this is not something a responsible 18-year-old would do. I'm so uncool. It's either overwhelmed or not knowing what to think. Yeah, overwhelmed, probably. That's the most accurate. You weren't prepared at all to be flung out here on your own. I wouldn't text Cove, because I feel like I'm ruining his day, and I'm being needy and blurg. I don't think I'd sit, though, either. I guess I would try to have a false sense of confidence. Put that on and hope for the best, initially. Resigned to your fate, you picked up where you left off browsing the stalls. One hooked your attention. Oh, that looks good. While most stalls were selling various garden-grown foods, this one had an array of homemade fudge. Ooh, yummy. There were even vegan versions of every option. I like fudge. You know what? I'm sad and I'm alone. I'm gonna get myself some fudge. You sidestepped past a few other people and got yourself right in front of the counter for a better look. There was a wide spread, dozens and dozens of delicately cut squares of decadence. The owner smiled and approached you to explain their shop. The fudge is sold in boxes of 4 pieces. They either can be all the same, all different, or any mix you like. Are you looking to buy any today? I could get one just for Cove. You know what? Even though everyone's abandoned me, I probably would get one to share with everybody. The whole selection was too good not to share. Oh. I can just get, like, all the fudge. I'm trying to remember if... Well, yeah, Cove does like sweets, because he enjoyed that cake. Sure, you know what? I was thinking of you while I was gone. Looking at the treats made you think of Cove. You grinned, hoping he liked what you picked out. And I'll leave it at that. Yeah, I could use some fudge. I'm glad you came to the right place, then. For the group, you picked... Let's see... I mean, milk chocolate's like a classic. And... let's do... curious what the red velvet is. And maple walnut's good, and oh, they have a white chocolate peppermint. That sounds fantastic. For Cove, you picked. I'm trying to think what he would like. He liked strawberry, but I don't see a strawberry option. He might like key lime. And how about dark chocolate mint and cookies and cream? And so many tough choices. Caramel swirl. Hope for the best. The shop owner carefully put your order together. You couldn't help but try to imagine how Cove might react when you presented this to him. Everyone else was definitely going to be happy when you regrouped later. You paid, and there was no stopping the large grin going all across your face. Pivoting on your heels, you wove your way back to the center of the path. You pondered for a moment what you should do now. None of the stalls were catching your eye. What did grab your attention, however, was the head of familiar seafoam hair sticking out above the crowd. You knew instantly it was Cove. He hadn't noticed you yet, but he was walking in your direction. He held a couple bags tightly in his hand. Strangely, you couldn't spot your mom or his dad anywhere. Yeah, why am I not surprised? Yo, Cove! Cove? The moment his name left your lips, you were certain your voice didn't project enough, but he stopped it dead in his tracks. Alert! Cove's head snapped up and his eyes searched the crowd until they landed on you. His whole demeanor brightened at the sight. My heart.
Molly.
Hey! He weaved through passers-by awkwardly in an attempt to get through as fast as reasonably possible, nearly stumbling more than once. It only took a moment for him to arrive. It was undeniable that he was shopping by himself. You stared at him, confused. Where's my mom? And your dad? Cove crossed his arms defiantly, the bags twisting in front of him.
Your mom took my dad and I ended up alone. Why are you by yourself?
Ma and Liz abandoned me too.
What?
Yeah, what is happening? I can't believe this happened to both of us.
They planned it. They had to. But I don't know why. Are they pranking us?
I don't know either. And you meant it. You couldn't fathom what your moms were up to. Cove shook his head, trying to clear his mind.
Well,
I guess things are just up to us now.
Yeah.
So,
His gaze wandered off as if one of your parents might simply appear if he kept checking, and you could tell he was still processing the situation. He scratched the back of his head, looking sheepish.
do you want to forget about whatever's happening and go shopping together?
I mean, absolutely. I'm not alone anymore. Definitely. There was little care in your mind for what your moms had planned. You were ecstatic at the thought of spending the rest of the trip with him.
don't worry about it.
Even if we have to make our own fun, we're gonna have a good trip.
Cove smiled at you encouragingly. It made you feel...
It was a terrible trip.
Yeah, a little bit more hopeful. You weren't alone anymore, and you could already feel yourself becoming better prepared to get through the rest of today.
So, where to first? I don't mind going back the way I came if it's new to you. It's not hard to miss stuff even if I've gone past it.
What have you gotten? Cove shuffled his bags around and started pulling them open so you could peek inside each one. You recognized the array of things he picked up around the market.
I mostly got typical things I can use pretty easily so far. Nothing super exciting. And... well, I picked up a few things I figured you might want to have too.
There were a few cucumbers, some lemons and potatoes, among other things that were wrapped up so you couldn't discern what they were. Thank you. What Cove bought made sense, but it was far from a complete selection. You glanced around at the nearby stalls. Want to start over there? Cove followed your eye as you pointed at one of the larger stalls. It was filled with several kinds of staple fruits and vegetables.
Come on.
Yeah, let's go.
Once a few people finished paying and moved, you and Cove got yourselves directly in front of the shop. There were so many things to pick from. Oh my, so many things. I mean, he already got potatoes and cucumbers and things. Can I go back and just look at what he got? Hold on. He got cucumbers and lemons and potatoes. Okay. Cucumbers, lemons, and potatoes. What can you make with those? Those things are like not exactly related. Let's get some strawberries for this boy. Lettuce so we can make a salad. Carrots are always a good choice. And what else should I get? More potatoes? Get some onions. I don't like tomatoes, so we're not getting tomatoes. We'll get some peppers too. And some apples. And that was everything. The shop owner put your selection together and handed it to you in a couple bags. Happily, you paid and waited for Cove to make his purchase.
Ready to go?
Cove grinned, satisfied with his new choices. He had added another bag to his small but growing collection. You nodded.
All right.
Now let's go.
Together, you and Cove wandered the market on the lookout for any stalls that caught your attention. Cove was walking around with a spring in his step, talking about the various meal ideas he had in mind. After a while, you had to go greater distances to find something of interest. Several of the stalls were selling the same goods. It was only a matter now of which you wanted to buy from. You continued ambling down the path until Cove disappeared suddenly from your peripheral vision, pulling you away from your thoughts. Cove? You spun around, spotting him some steps back. He was standing still. You followed his eye line past the crowds. Immediately, you knew what grabbed him. Homemade jams and local honey. That stall was glittering with quaint glass jars stacked high, each encasing gels of varying colors. Cove's eyes were practically sparkling at the sight. His feet automatically began to take him there, likely without being fully aware he had made an unexplained detour. When you got closer, you were surprised there were even more varieties than you thought. There were even different honeys based on what type of pollen the bees used. Cove's focus seemed torn between a bottle of blackberry jam and one of clover honey.
Do you want some honey?
Why would you shake your head at him disapprovingly? What kind of monster are you? Look, I'm not a fan of honey personally, but even I would not, shake my head disapprovingly. I mean, jam is a great thing. Everything looks really good. Cove held up the 2 jars in his hands for you to see. He grinned ear to ear.
Right?
I know, right?
He continued to weigh the decision in his mind, actually lifting one higher and dropping the other lower during the process so that they were on a scale. You thought things over for yourself, too. I mean, strawberry jam's my favorite, so I definitely would get that. I've never tried plum jam, but that sounds great. I would ignore the honey. You know what? I'm gonna experiment. Get some plum jam. There you go. You paid, and the shop owner started putting together your order. They carefully packed it in a single bag with paper. Thank you very much. Amused, you watched Cove give in and just buy both the clover honey and the blackberry jam. He also went all in, getting spring wildflower honey and plum jam too. Hey, plum jam besties! The shop owner thoughtfully wrapped each in brown paper to protect them before putting them away in a bag. He handed the purchase to Cove.
Thank you.
You both stepped away from the stall. Cove didn't fail to notice the look you'd been giving him since he agonized over his toast toppers. Toast toppers is great.
Hey, this doesn't go bad for a long time. So why not stock up? I could have chosen one if I wanted to.
Alright, Cove. It'll be nice to enjoy snacking on it for a while. As he began to stroll, Cove looked up at the sky. He smiled. It was sort of unexpected, considering all of this was technically an errand, and unexpected changes often upset him. But he was happy, and Cove liked doing this kind of normal thing. And you could tell that Cove especially enjoyed doing these kinds of things with you. It's true, normal things are a little bit nicer with people that you enjoy spending time with. Yeah, it's very domestic. It felt more than normal or mundane. It felt right. Not literally the option I just said out loud. I mean, I gotta now. I'm gonna just step in it right now. Splat. We're so domestic. Cove took a sharp intake of air and started coughing for a moment. Afterwards, he refused to look at you.
Well...
Are we? I guess we are.
Later, when you spotted a less crowded area, you took a break from browsing. Cove started rummaging through one of his bags just to check on how his goods were doing. A smile grew on his face as he went on to the next. You chuckled, knowing that Cove wouldn't let anything go to waste. There wasn't a single doubt he was going to eat it all. He held a hand in front of your face as you squinted upwards. The sun had moved quite a bit. You'd been at the market for a good while now. Neither your feet nor your arms were sore right now, and Cove looked to be doing fine too, but that was something that could be coming. There was a price to pay for this much shopping, and it wasn't always just in money. Good point. Piggyback ride again! Look, we're both strong, independent people that don't need to spend every waking moment together, even though we are being domestic right now. It's fine. We just said, like, our arms are doing okay right now, so let's just enjoy the break from walking. There was a breeze you just barely noticed in the air, and you contentedly sighed, happy that the weather was cooperative for the market. It made things even better.
Oh.
Why don't I carry your stuff for a while? I don't mind, and I figure your arms could maybe use a break.
Oh. Could you give me a piggyback ride instead? Make this man carry your groceries and you. So rude. You know what? Since he offered, I will take it. And then later, I hope that I have the option to also offer to take his bags. Because I would like to do that. Yeah, okay. I'd like that.
Cool.
You flashed him your best smile and passed him the bags. He's being very gentlemanly, and I appreciate that. Your arms were already feeling better as you watched Cove add your things to his own bundle. Thank you. He nodded while in thought. Cove was still deciding on how he was going to manage them all. He hooked a few on the forearm of his left side and hefted the rest in his hands. And with that, you and Cove continued your trip through the market together. Ma and Mom had both texted you during the trip, though only to say that they hoped you'd found some good stuff and that they'd see you later. There were no answers on where they went or why. You and Cove continued to wind your way through the bustling market, the list of outstanding items steadily shrinking while bags grew heavier. Eventually, Cove realized that he hadn't checked his own phone in a while. The two of you came to a stop in the nearest alcove, where you'd be out of the steady stream of people perusing the stalls, and he pulled out his phone. Cove rearranged all the bags he was carrying, freeing a hand so that he could pull out his phone. You watched his eyes dart over the screen as he read the waiting messages.
Not important. I can reply to that later.
He mumbled his verdict under his breath. Then Cove's face scrunched up with confusion.
Huh?
Wait, I've got a message from my dad. Listen to this. Cove, I wasn't part of the plan. I didn't know what was going on when I left with Molly's mom. Where are you?
Okay, so there was a plan. Thanks, Cliff.
He sent that ages ago. I didn't hear it come in. He sent another one since then. Says he hopes I'm alright and that he's not bothering me. The newest one says everybody's going to the parking lot soon and we can meet up there.
He lowered his phone, eyes narrowed. The same conclusion that was settling on you had landed on Cove as well.
So it was on purpose.
He lifted the phone again, staring hard at the screen.
Didn't my mom pull this stunt when we were little? You know, that time she took us to the mall?
She did, but this has got different vibes to it, you know? Is this a mom thing? It could be a mom thing. And it's true. Like, the moms obviously planned this at some point. I don't think Kyra planned it. I'll go with this one. My mom's had a plan. The mall thing was spur of the moment.
Yeah, that's true.
The crowd of people passing by stayed as noisy as ever, a sharp contrast to the silence that had fallen over you and Cove. He was rubbing the screen of his phone against his shirt, wiping away dust and debris. He continued scrubbing the screen long after anything could have remained, the action a poor substitute for pushing away the awkwardness of the moment. I'm struggling. My brain is struggling. Some of your parents' actions made more sense with this context, but the bigger question, that of why, was still weighing down on you. Like, I don't even know what to say. Yeah, you know what? Cove leaned down, making his eyes level with yours. Thank you, tall boy. He laid his hands on your shoulders, grounding you. Thank you. Cove's frown grew taut, his mouth a stiff, serious line, but his eyes wide with concern.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry about your moms, leaving you alone out here like this without warning.
His speech was slower than usual. You suspected that he was choosing each word carefully. It was unnatural, but you appreciated that he didn't want to risk upsetting you further.
I don't know if you want to talk to them about this, but I can definitely back you up. I totally get that it's sucky.
I don't deserve this guy. I just don't. I don't even know if there's things to vent about yet, because I have no information. Maybe I can just vent about how I have no information. I didn't want things to be like this. But they didn't even talk about it. I didn't get a chance to say anything. Cove listened, nodding gently as you unburdened yourself. You then drew a deep breath, the fresh air steadying you. You didn't stop until your lungs were full. Cove watched over you, still concerned.
Sorry.
Even though I guess it's not exactly my fault this time. But is there anything I could do to make you feel better? Even a little bit?
My first thought was, can I have a hug? It was. But also, I like that you already have. Heck it. Give me a hug. Can I have a hug? Cove spread his arms wide, his expression as open and welcoming as his stance beckoned you forward. You couldn't help but smile at how easy that was. You walked into his embrace, returning it by wrapping your arms tightly around him. Cove held you. It was restorative, rivaling even the best night's sleep. I love those kinds of hugs. You parted, the smile on your face still bright. Cove smiled back at you and patted your arm, giving you a little additional reassurance, just in case the hug hadn't been enough. Clearly, he was underestimating the charm of his own hugs, indeed. After a moment, he stepped further away from you, face turned. Cove closed his eyes and took a deep breath. His brow creased, then furrowed deeper into a scowl, his arms tightly coiling together.
So they did do something stupid. I knew it.
His voice had taken on an exaggerated quality, but what truly distinguished it from Cove's typical speaking tone was the abundance of rage.
This is such a chore. Parents are so dumb. Why do people have to go places with family members anyways? I hate them. And I also hate farmers markets.
You got it instantly. It had been years since Jeremy visited your town for the summer, and he had changed greatly nowadays, but Cove never forgot that experience. To this day, he continued to unleash his impersonation of Jeremy's younger self whenever the moment felt right. Stop, you do not. That is wonderful. Jeremy's never gonna live that down. I mean, I burst out laughing, so I have to. And every time, it never failed to crack you up. Cove gave you a lopsided smile, letting the joke rest for now.
Come on, we should probably go meet up with the group.
Yeah. You didn't dally any longer, slipping back into the crowd and making your way towards the entrance of the farmer's market. It didn't take long to reach the parking lot. Your parents, Mr. Holden and Liz, were already waiting there, and they waved at you both as you approached. Your own family seemed to be in pretty good moods, in contrast to Mr. Holden. He stared at Cove with open concern as you got closer.
Hey, bud. Hey, Molly. How you doing?
We'd be doing better if we hadn't been abandoned in a farmer's market by our families.
Agreed. You saw your moms frowning at his response, Ma glancing from Cove to Mom with blinking eyes.
Just because Molly is shy and tries not to complain doesn't mean you can just leave her out of your plans and expect her to go with it every time.
Oh my god, my heart. I would die if someone had stood up for me at 18 and said that. Sheesh. Cove. Ma hung her head, ashamed, and Mom had a hand pressed to her cheek. You could tell that they were quickly regretting their scheme. But why the scheme? What was the purpose? Were you just like, wouldn't it be cute if, we disappeared and those two ended up being all domestic and shopping together like they're gonna do in the future? Huh? Don't you guys know I have anxiety in public places that I haven't been to before and don't know where you guys are? It's terrifying.
I am so sorry.
Her words were full of emotion. Mom squeezed Ma's arm.
We were trying to make the errand more of a trip, less of a chore.
Ma nodded.
We didn't think you, Cove, and Liz wanted to be stuck trudging around a market with your parents all day.
So why not just separate into parents and kids, then? Or get them to be like, do you want to come with us, or do you want to go off on your own? Why not just do that instead of tee-hee, we're just gonna disappear. And also Liz went with you. Did Liz have to spend the day by herself as well? I don't understand.
Especially not in the summer. But you're always very thoughtful and don't like to leave your moms behind, so we did ourselves. It was only going to be for the market, not the other stops. I promise. Still, you're right. We could have just told you and let you make your own call.
Yeah.
I really am sorry. Neither of us meant to upset you.
I'm really sorry.
All gas, no brakes. And we should have known better. Sorry.
Ma ditched me too after playing her urgent potty break stunt, if that helps. I went off to do my own shopping, as it seems they planned. Okay, I mean, that makes me feel slightly better that they did that to you as well, but it's still weird as heck.
Sorry.
Sorry I didn't check back in with you. I wasn't thinking and just tried to blow it off. You quietly took in their stories of what happened. Over to the side, Cove was talking to his dad.
Thanks for telling me something was up. Though I feel bad for missing the warning when you sent it.
Yeah, Cliff, you're a great dad.
You're welcome.
It's no trouble, sport. I learned my lesson about making surprise plans.
That's true, you did. Cove smiled at his dad. Mr. Holden, laughing, clapped Cove on the back.
Not bad.
Wow, we're really being outplayed today.
You realized you hadn't been the only onlookers to the Holden's moment. Your moms were exchanging rueful looks. Liz had her arms crossed over her chest, patiently watching it all unfold.
Yes, looks like it. we better find some way to catch up.
In that case,
Maybe we can do Molly's chores for the next week?
Mom jabbed Ma on the shoulder.
You might be onto something. Molly, how'd you like the sound of that?
They looked at you hopefully. You know what? Just the fact that they acknowledged it was a dumb plan and apologized and offered to do my chores for a week is enough. If they had doubled down, I would have been more upset. But at least they realized, like, I'm upset and apologize for it. So you don't have to do anything.
I think we do.
Come on.
And at the very least, we can make sure everyone stays together for the rest of the stops we're making today.
You all nodded at the suggestion. You know what? Kudos to you, moms, for being like, nope, we're going to make this right. We're going to do the chores anyway, even though you said it's okay.
yes.
We won't let you down. We'll be the best sheepdogs ever, guarding the flock and catching any strays.
Funny.
We could at least be shepherds.
You chuckled, your mood lifting in spite of the bumpy morning. It was going to be all right. You turned to the entrance for the farmer's market for one final glance, pressing it into your memory under this new light. You thought on what you'd picked up at the market and how you were going to enjoy it later. Some things you could only get from local suppliers like this. That was another perk about coming along to the market today. Actually, you realized this would be a good time to bring out the fudge you got to share while everyone was clustered together. You cleared your throat. I got something for you all. The announcement grabbed everyone's interest and they looked over at you, each curious about what you had in store. You dug your hand into the bag and pulled out the specially selected treat. It's fudge. There's only 4 pieces, but I thought we could try a little each. Ooh!
Aww.
That's so sweet of you.
The Holdens were wearing matching grins at the prospect of free dessert, their family resemblance more notable as they mirrored each other's expression.
Sweet is the right word for this. Thanks very much, Molly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're fantastic.
Oh my. Okay, Mom, I know you're trying to butter me up, but calm down.
Great! Can't wait to bust it open. We should save it for tonight. You can't properly enjoy a treat when there's still chores to be done. Besides, we don't want to make a mess with it melting in this heat.
The others murmured their agreements and nodded, reaching a consensus. You stowed the box away safely for now. Cove then sidled up next to you, an eager smile on his face. You could tell from his expression that he was up to something.
Thanks again for getting fudge. It was really cool of you.
You knew he hadn't come over just to thank you individually, not with that huge smirk.
I got something to share too. But, well, only really with you. I guess I'm not as nice. Oh well.
I love it. You know what? You can be selfish with me any day of the week. You smiled wryly at him, eyebrows raised. He laughed.
Anyway, well, I sort of picked something out with you in mind.
You held a hand to your chest, staring at Cove as he explained further.
I mean,
Since your moms decided we should shop separately, I figured I could use the time to get you something. Just as a little surprise.
He reached into one of his bags and retrieved one of the wrapped-up objects. You accepted the unexpected present, and he looked on excitedly as you tore off the paper. It was a glass bottle of root beer soda! You didn't need to taste it to know that it would be nice. It was a boutique product. It was heavy in your hands, the container and smart metal cap reaffirming the quality. Even the label, constructed from coarse paper rather than a flimsy sheet of plastic, was distinctive. You were practically bouncing in anticipation, and he smiled sweetly at your reaction.
It's not a big deal, but I just thought you might like it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. You weren't the only one who had that idea.
Hmm?
His eyes began to widen. I got something for you too, when you weren't around. There was a burst of laughter, first from your mom, followed by a chorus of chuckles from the other three. Could you guys give us a moment? You'd forgotten that they were still hanging around. Unfortunately, they hadn't paid you and Cove the same courtesy and had been listening in on your conversation. You weren't even apart for a whole day.
And you both still use that as a chance to get each other little gifts.
Ma clasped her hands together, eyes bright.
Good job.
That's so lovely. A day? It was less than a whole morning.
Right?
True. I don't even want to think about what happens when you spend real time apart.
That's my boy.
Mr. Holden's just like, yeah! That's my heartbreaker son. Although he wouldn't break anybody's heart because he's too sweet. You reach back into the bag where you had first retrieved the box of fudge for everyone, shuffling it aside to take out the other one underneath. Your cheeks were reddening. You spoke quietly, hoping that this time only Cove would hear. Could you guys, read the room and, get in the car or something? I don't know. That one was for everybody, but I got another for you. Cove's face lit up, his grin stretching from ear to ear. The laughter that came from the others, who were fully tuned into your little show, rude, didn't appear to reach him. You wished you were similarly impervious to it, but you were embarrassed.
You got one just for me.
Cove reached out and took the box in both hands, holding it like a precious treasure. He looked at you with eyes full of delight.
Thank you so much, Molly.
At this rate, it wouldn't just be your little group that knew that you'd been treating him. The whole parking lot was going to learn about it. Behind Cove, you could see Mom watching you both with a smile of hilarity.
See? This is why he's so attached. You've spoiled him. You shouldn't make fun, Pam. It's clearly mutual. Besides, I don't hear you complaining when I'm spoiling you.
Ma pinched Mom's cheek, making her laugh as she batted the hand away.
True.
Liz clapped her hands together with the air of a teacher calling for attention. Since the other adults aren't acting like grown-ups, the rest of us are going to have to pick up the slack. It's time to get back on schedule and continue with the rest of the errands. Playtime is officially over. Ma laughed while Mr. Holden grinned awkwardly. Mom hung her head in an exaggerated display of mock defeat.
Kids are tough, and I can't even call them kids anymore.
Liz tut-tutted with amusement at her mother. Cove shrugged, staying a neutral observer, but the small smile on his face revealed that he was enjoying the conclusion. You nodded, relieved that everyone was getting along. With that, your trip to the farmer's market was closed. It was time to move on. There were too many of you for one car, so you and Cove had wound up in Mr. Holden's car on the way over. You figured it made sense to do the same for the next leg of the journey. You sat next to Cove in the back. Immediately, after the click of the seatbelt and its lock announced that Cove was safely strapped in, he began to unfold the box of fudge he'd been given. He's like, "Ah yeah, fudge time!" You're gonna eat now?
Uh-huh.
He nodded eagerly, not taking his eyes from the container. He lifted the top off and longingly admired the selection inside.
Minty fudge is perfect for the end of snacking. It's so refreshing. Is the green fudge lime?
Yeah, key lime.
That's amazing, because it's fudge but also fruity somehow. That looks like cookies and cream. That's a really cool flavor for fudge. They had one with caramel. Wow, it's gonna be so nice.
Once Cove had finished bestowing praise on what you'd picked, he promptly started sampling the selection. He was smiling, licking his lips and having a grand old time. You could also tell, from the way his nibbling was turning into munching, that the box wasn't going to survive the trip to the next stop. You were right. Cove had tried to savor the treats, claiming just one more until there was only one left, and the statement was finally forced to be true. He finished the last one, too! Damn, how much? That's a lot of fudge, sir. He sighed contentedly.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Molly. Those really were great.
You're welcome. He set the picked clean box to the side, then rested his hands on his spoiled tummy. Cove wasn't going to be hungry for a while after that. From there, he sat wordlessly, gaze drifting to the window. You knew Cove well enough to spot the signs of when he was physically present, but mentally elsewhere. The way he would fall quiet, staring without seeing, the long blinks, all of which he was doing right now as he looked at nothing in particular. He licked his fingers absent-mindedly, getting the last of the melted fudge off his hand. Is it too late to ask for a taste? I'm pleased. You closed your eyes as you pulled up the resolve to speak. What has you so lost in thought? Cove idly rubbed at his face.
Honestly, I was just thinking about how nice it is to know you. It, makes life better. And everything.
Aww. Though he was turned away from you, his eyes were round and sincere.
Not that this is a new revelation, but today was another reminder. I'm lucky.
Oh, so cute! I feel lucky too. He peeked at you from the corner of his eyes, still too shy to look at you directly. You smiled at him affectionately, eliciting an equally caring smile from Cove in return. You felt content, secure in your relationship with Cove. Heck it, if he ate all the fudge, I'm enjoying my drink. You twisted off the cap and brought it to your mouth. Even before the first sip reached your lips, the scent tickled your nostrils. You took a swig. It was refreshing, the perfect way to hit the spot after a long morning trawling through the market. It's good. Thank you. He grinned at you, pleased that his pick had been well received.
You're welcome.
You spent the rest of the day completing the remaining errands all together as a group. I mean, I enjoyed it because I was with Cove, though, so... heck it. It might not have come about under ideal circumstances, but it had provided you with an opportunity to spend time making your own choices. You felt that you'd risen to the challenge. Yeah, I feel good. Oh, my goodness. Moms, what were you thinking? Sheesh. Communication! Oh, they're usually so good, but that time they kind of fumbled the ball a little bit, but kudos to them for apologizing and trying to make it right. So I do appreciate that. And we had a lovely time with Cove, as always. Just, he makes my heart so warm. He stood up for me! And he gave me a hug, and he gave me root beer, and he loved my fudge. So cute! I love that guy so much.